Yo, what is going on, Team Tweedie? I hope you're all super well. Welcome to episode 17 of #AskTweedie, where you guys send in your football-related questions. Anything that you might have going on in your football world, I'll do my best to answer them. If you have any questions, put them in the YouTube comments section below, or my Instagram messages, or my Snapchat messages. Those will also be in the description. When it comes to sending in your questions, make sure it's not who's better, Ronaldo or Messi. Make sure they're things that I can go a bit more in depth with, something that you're struggling with, or anything like that. So how we do it every Tuesday and Thursday, we smash these out, and yeah, I answer your questions. So to start off, we do a 3 every single episode. Starting this one off, we have this question from Football Hustle on my New Year's resolution video. He says, can I have this goal this year to become a standout player / amazing player? I'm not sure if that is a good goal because you can't check it off. What goal can I have instead? So I love this question because I love setting goals. It's something that I've done so much and I've slacked off a little bit on. I need to get back on that grind, and it just gives you focus with what you're doing rather than saying to yourself, I'm just going down to the park, I'm just going to play my match. Every time that you go to do something, you're focused on your goal. It gives you direction in your footballing career. So how I like to do it, or how I did do it, is I broke it down. So I would go, I think the most I had is like a 6-month goal, and then I went into a 3-month goal, and then a 1-month goal, then a weekly goal, then I had daily goals. So I really broke it down into little things that I could do every single day in order to improve. Now, that's kind of just how I did my goals, but a goal overall to become the best player in your league, that's something where, I know in my league back in Australia, they would give out the best player, but if you're, say, the 6th player or the 5th player, how would you ever know from going the 40th player to the 5th player in a year? You just can't tell. So maybe something that you can do to measure it is look at the likes of Ronaldo and Messi, who are winning Ballon d'Ors, and think, why do they win Ballon d'Ors? And for me, it's goals, it's titles, it's amount of wins, it's amount of assists, it's pass completions, one-on-one completions, all those sort of things that are football related. So as a striker, your goal could be 10 goals in the next 10 games, or 10 goals by the end of the season, or as a winger, 15 assists from crosses, something like that. Or if you're back, 15 clean sheets this season, and then set your team goals, stuff like 15 wins throughout the whole season, or only 8 draws, little things like that to help you improve. Because if you're winning the league, you're going to be looked at a better player rather than someone who's coming bottom of the league. It's just how it works. So that's how you can really break it down, and you can go even deeper. You can go have 70% pass completion on average throughout the season. So every game you film your match, you go through and calculate how many times you kept the ball, how many times you lost the ball, create a percentage, and then see what it's like at the end of the season. Or you can just do it every game. Aim to have over 70% pass completion. And what that's actually going to do is, when you get into the match, your mindset is focused on these goals. So you have them on your wall, maybe a whiteboard or something like that. And before the match, or even training, I would suggest you look at them and you go, clean sheet, 70% pass accuracy. You take those, you put them in your head, and then you approach the game with that. So every time you have the ball, you're never going to want to give it away, because in the back of your mind, you're thinking about that 70% pass accuracy. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to take risks, because of course, sometimes you need to win the game, you need to put a long ball forward, and that's something that you can take into account. As well, clean sheet, you're just going to be fighting for every ball. You do not want the other team to score, because you want to go home and put a tick on your whiteboard. That's how I would suggest it, and that's how you're going to be seen as one of the best players in the league. That's just my view on it, and it just gives you direction in every match, every training session, everything like that. Now, this one's a long one. So, this one comes in from an Instagram message. How do I stay focused during practice? Basically, this player is not focusing during practice. Yeah. This is all I can think of. I don't feel focused or concentrated when it's something perhaps you have done in the past when similar. So, yeah. So this player is struggling to focus during training sessions, and this was something like I struggle to focus a lot in training sessions. It's something that I need to improve on as well. And if you go back to maybe, I want to say day 107, 109, something like that. It was one of my first sessions with the 5th Division team in Spain, which is actually a professional team. I was trialing with them, and I needed to focus that session. So what I did is I wrote 100% on my hand. And so whenever the ball went out or whenever we were getting a drinks break, I'd just look down at my hand and say 100%. And then that just sends messages to my mind thinking, this is why I'm here. Because like I say so much in these videos, I'm a player that loves to approach games and approach training sessions with a very chilled out mindset. I love to have fun at trainings. I love to make jokes. And that's what helps me, I wouldn't say improve, but enjoy training and perform at a better level. Because if I'm not enjoying myself, I'm not going to be like performing for the team. I'll be upset, I'm depressed, whatever. You get the idea. So if you put focus, even just focus or 100% on your head, it's something that's very effective, because when you get into a training session, it's very easy to forget about everything, because football is, it's used as escapism for a lot of people. Escapism is basically escaping from reality. And I love to just not think about anything when I go to training or when I go to play games. It just takes your mind off study, homework, work, whatever it may be. And just putting something on your hand, it just reminds your brain, okay, I should stop making that joke with my teammate while I'm doing this one-touch drill. Okay, 100%, that means I'm going to give 100% this drill. I'm going to pretend like it's a game, because if I just go, 50%, 70%, I'm not going to improve. And I think that's something I still need to improve on, and you guys do as well. Every team I've trained with, I've only seen a couple of players, maybe even just one player, or maybe not even a single player in a squad that puts 100% into every single training session. And it's very easy to point them out. I remember in Spain, I'll never forget this one guy who would always put in 100%. We would be doing a warm-up. He would be doing it at game pace. Like, just all these little things that you just notice in a player. And I think it's so important. I'm going to try and work on it myself. So maybe that's something I need to do. Again, it's just a little reminder for yourself. Nothing too difficult. Last question. This one's a bit more personal, and I've decided to answer it last because it's not really related to you guys, but it may be. If you live in Australia, this one is great for you. I get this question a lot. Sheldon, have you ever considered playing A-League or trying to play in the A-League? And this kind of is the reason why I left Australia. So I was part of a couple of youth league squads in Australia. I say this so many times, but how it goes is it goes A-League, which is the only professional league in Australia. Then it goes the youth league, which is like the A-League youth teams, like the under-21 sides. And then under that is state teams. So then it gets a bit lower, semi-professional. And I was with the youth league teams. I was with Sydney FC. I got dropped from there for not being strong enough, not being big enough, stuff like that. And then I went to another one, Western Sydney Wanderers, and then I left there for some other reasons. And then I went down to state level, which is basically the best level you can play at my age. But it's difficult because I don't know the stats off by heart, but I know that in the last, since I've known, maybe 5 years, a couple of players have gone up, like 2 or 3 have actually gone from the state league into the A-League, which for me, it's not enough. It doesn't make sense to have that league. It's such a big gap that what's the point of having it if you're not going to produce players or at least look at players? And it's baffling to me. I don't get it. And it's something that I think needs to change in Australian football. But the reason I left Australia was because even if I was performing at that level and doing very well with, say, a first team in the state level, there's very limited opportunity to move up the ranks. There's one player who was actually at my team, Manly United, who played for the Young Socceroos. He was in the Nike Academy. He was killing it. I think he's my age or maybe 1 year older. And he was doing very well in the state level. And he got one look from one team at the A-League level. So that's kind of why I don't really look into Australia. There's a lot more opportunities in Europe. I think it's difficult to get into the A-League unless you go through the youth league systems. And even then, there's only maybe 3 or 4. Actually, no, I'd say a bit more. I'd say you get more success going through the youth league system. But then you have to be a good player in the youth league system. and that's basically that. I do want to go back and play in the A-League. It's a goal that I have because I love Australia. I'd love to return there and play my football there, but not right now. It's just not the right time. And I think for some of you guys who are in Australia now, if you're not, how can I say this? If you're not reaching these youth league teams, then I would probably say look to go abroad, depending on your visas and where you can stay, your financial situation. There's a ton of things that go into it, but it's very difficult to go from state to the A-League. Like I said, only a couple of players I know have done it, and they were very, very, very good players, like killing the league. And Europe, there's just so many more. There's so much opportunity for players. Look, I'm at Crawley Town under 23s now, and that opens up opportunities into tier 7 teams, tier 6 teams. I could get into the first team here, and then that opens up a whole nother like new window and world. There's just endless opportunities, I think, and I wouldn't return back to Australia. I think in the next 10 years it might be a bit better, but we'll have to wait and see. So anyway, guys, that is concluding today's episode of Hashtag Ask Tweedie. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure you leave a like, hit that subscribe button. If you're new around here, join the Hashtag Ask Tweedie family, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Listen.